Okay, so sorry about the last thing there. So we've covered move, which is a way to move from one place to another location. But when you're moving something, you have to give where it's moved to, and also you have to give it a name. It can be the same name or it can be a different name. So that means it can also be used to rename existing files. For instance, our folders. So for instance, here we have the folder 1, and I actually need to close all this shit here. Sorry, I'm just checking something. Okay, so here I am. So I have the folder called 1, and I'll change it to 1 move. Okay, you can rename folders, you can rename files, you can rename, you can actually move things as well. So that's just renaming existing folder to 1 move. That's renaming an existing file called names to names.txt. Here, we're moving a file called places.txt. We're moving it to the 1 folder, and we're changing its name to places2.txt. You can see it inside there. Okay. Now, and then we did delete. And if you try to delete something that's not there, it's going to get a no such file exception. All right. So, so delete, you try to delete something that's not there, you're going to get a no such file exception. So what you can use instead is no delete if exists. Now delete if it exists returns true if the file exists, and it doesn't, and it deletes the file. It returns false and nothing happens. However, you can only delete, if you're deleting directories, you can only delete empty directories. You cannot delete non-empty directories. Okay. We will show you, it's in the last section on this, how to delete a directory that contains thousands of other directories, thousands of other files. There is a way to do it, but you can't use just delete if exists or delete if your directory contains something. It will not work. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to show you how to read and write to a file using NIO.2. Now, first of all, we're going to use buffered readers and buffered writers. Now, buffered readers, you remember readers take in characters, okay? Readers and writers work on characters. Streams work on bytes, okay? So readers and writers work on characters. Buffered reader takes in a set amount, it loads a set amount of characters into a buffer. All right? Right. Now, but before we go any further, we're going to create 2 files. Okay? Now, we're going to create 2 files inside here. So new file. And the first file is going to be called animals.txt. Okay? And in animals.txt, I'm going to have all these animals inside it. Anteater, bobcat, cat, dog, fox, gopher, hippo, lemur, and monkey. Okay, they are our animals. Okay, thank you. I'm also going to create a file called countries. Okay, so new file, and it's going to be, I might as well do capitals. All right, so we're going to have Ireland, France, Germany, Mexico, Canada, and New Zealand. Okay, countries.txt. Now, so I'll keep them open. Animals.txt and countries.txt. Okay. Now, so what we're going to do is we are going to read and write to files called using buffered readers. Now, buffered readers take in a set amount of characters, load them up into a buffer, and then you can use that buffer to read and write to a file. A buffer is just a part of memory, so it loads up so many characters into a buffer. All right, so using buffered reader, now these are slightly different. Okay, they're called new buffered reader, but it's the same principle. So new buffered reader and new buffered writer to read and write the file using NIO.2. Okay, now they're basically the same as a buffered reader, okay, with the exception in that, it takes something called a char set, okay, something called a char set. Now, a char set is just how your operating system handles text. That's the best way to describe it. Okay. Now, the easiest way to show you is actually do an example. All right. So we are going to have a path called path, and it's going to be paths.get. And so this is going to be animals.txt. Okay. And we're going to be writing from the animals path. So this is the file we will read from. And I'm going to call this write path is equal to paths.get. This is going to be countries.txt. This is going to be the file we will write to. Okay. Now, so I'll write this comment here. So a buffered reader takes path, which will be the file. Sorry, it is hold on a second down here. Just want to double check something with myself here. So I know it is 8.3b. So I had, just give me with me here a second. Okay, that's not where the buffered readers are. Buffered readers are here. So if I go here, F, buffered. Okay, sorry. So now, so change this here. So it's not a buffered reader. It's a particular type called new buffered reader. When we were creating readers before, okay, we can say reader, my reader is equal to new import reader. So I'll actually go back to here. I'll go down to here, buffered. All right, so this is a buffered reader, okay? Now buffered reader, buff read is equal to buffered reader, and it takes a low level reader itself. Reader is equal to new file reader, whatever file, okay? So you can see it's new, it's two separate, so it's a new keyword, buffered reader. Now, however, when we're creating these buffered readers, the actual type is this, okay? It is, actually no, we'll do this example. So sorry, I'm talking to my arse here a bit, okay? So a buffered reader takes a path, which will be the file you are reading, and a char set. Now, when we come to doing databases, actually, those of us that all those wonderful year or two ago, we were all doing MySQL. Remember, we were doing a char set, A char set is basically the format of the characters in your file. Okay, so a buffered reader. So if you're going to be using NIO.2 and you're using a buffered reader, right? So a buffered reader takes a path, which will be the file you're reading from, and a char set value, which is whatever the format characters take in your file. Okay. Now, if you want to get whatever you can get, you can use char set dot default tf@ult set to get the default char set for your JVM, your Java virtual machine. Okay. Now, I want to see what's the char set that I'm typing in here. Okay. So if I do this, I go char set. Default char set. Now I think that should print off Windows-1252. Might have changed nothing to that before, so let me just have a look. Yeah, there it is. Okay, now that's just the format that your text takes. That's it. Okay, the format your text takes. This is the format that the JVM automatically uses. Now you can change that if you want to, knock the results out if you want to. I'm not going to do it. Okay, so that might be different than yours. I don't know if it's the same. In my case, it will be Windows 1252. 1252. Okay. Now you can set it up as well to whatever char set. So let's say if you're writing to a Mac OS, obviously it's not going to be Windows 1252. If you're writing to Unix, it's obviously not going to be 1252. Now Unix, Android is Unix, all right? So when we talk about Unix, Android is Unix, all right? It's just a flavor Unix, that's all Android is. So the default char set for Android is going to be some char set for one of the flavors of Unix, okay? Right, so first thing we're going to do is we are going to read from the file, all right? So we're going to try, and it's going to be a try with resources. Okay. And we are going to have a catch exception. Okay, now, so first one. So we're going to start off the very first one here. So we are going to have buffered reader, okay, is equal to, now, so I need to import buffered reader. So buffered reader is equal to, now, so we use the files class. That's what we use when we want to use NIO.2 dot. Now, if we want to create a new buffered reader, right? We want to create a new buffered reader. We call the new buffered reader static method. Okay. Now it takes, this one we're going to use takes 2 arguments. Okay. It takes the path we're reading from, and also the char set that's used. So I'm going to say char set dot, let me just see, for name available, it's supported. So let me just see. Just before I do this, comment this out. No, I don't know what's going to happen here when I do this. All right. So if I go SYSO set dot available char set, so it brings out a sorted map. Okay, so it brings out a map. So let me just see what that prints off. Okay, there are all the char sets we can use. Okay, let me just see. I don't know how it does know for Unix. Let's see. Hey, I don't understand any of these at all. All right, so this is all the available char sets. Now, of course, you can put the other char sets in your system. This will return a set of all the available sets on this machine. Can add to this set. Okay, so you can add to this set. Now, so what I'm saying is you have a buffered reader. Now, the char set we're going to use is going to be char set.default char set. Now, obviously, we could use other char sets. All right. Let's say if I want to use this one. Now, how would I use this one? Let me just see. That is supported. Okay. Char set. I'm presuming you would use for name, I guess. Now this should return true. Oh, no, it doesn't. Who's that? Who's that? Mind that fight now. That precious, that's doing a lot of good stuff. I love the bag. The bag sets off down to gym big time. No. If someone rings, I'll say that you're in the back. All right. I'm not putting on fire yet. No, I'll. No, it's not a big cold. No, not yet. So, sorry that there was someone shouting out the window at me there, or out the back kitchen. So, I don't know why that doesn't work. It's neither here nor there. Okay. So now, obviously, there's something else you have to do to get these to work. I don't know. That's the available char sets in my system. All right. Now, so we're going to read a file which is animal.txt, and it's in this format, which is the default format for my system. Okay, which is Windows 1252. All right. Now, all right. So we're going to, just to start off with, we're going to display. So what files are we talking about? We're talking about this one. Anteater, bobcat, dog, fox, gopher, hippo, lemur, monkey. Right. So we're going to display all of those lines in. Let me just not the reader. Right. So this is the try block. Okay. So we're obviously going to put in a writer, but we're doing the reader part first. Okay. So we are going to say string current line is equal to null. So what is this guy? This will be string that will hold each line of text in the file animals.txt. Okay. Now, so I want to count each one of the lines. Okay. So what's this guy? This will count each one of the lines in my file animals.txt. Okay, so how many lines of text is there in my file? 1, so 9. Okay, we have 9 lines of text. So at the end of this program, this counter I will read 9. Okay. So now I'm going to go while. So let's do these. I've forgotten most of these myself. So current line. See, so while I'm going to say current line is equal to reader dot read line. Okay, not equal to null. Now, reader dot read line returns a string. Okay, now, so what's going to happen here is read line does exactly as it says in the tin, by the way. It gets in the line, then it goes to the next one, then it goes to the next one, then it goes to the next one, then it goes to the next one. Okay, now as soon as it gets to the end of a file, okay, as soon as it gets to the end of a file, it's going to return null. All right, so while current line is equal to reader dot line. Okay, oops, so that should be that guy. Take out one here. Okay, and we start on the next line. Okay. That's current line. Okay, so it is going to go plus plus I. Okay, plus 9 plus current line. Again. All right. Now, so reader.read line will read the line. Okay. So current line is going to be put equal to anteater. Then it's going to be put equal to bobcat. Then it's going to be put equal to cat. Then it's going to be put equal to dog, then to fox, then to gopher, then to hippo, then to lemur, then to monkey. Now, when it gets to the end of a file, current line is going to be put equal to, it's going to be put equal to null. Okay, so this is twofold. Reader.read line. What it does is it takes the current line and it goes to the next line. Okay, so current line is going to be the current line and then it goes to the next one. All right, so what does this produce? Now, what it should produce is 1 anteater, 2 bobcat, 3 cat, 4 dog, 5 fox, 6 gopher, 7 hippo, 8 lemur, 9 monkey. That's what it should produce, because it starts off at 0. 0 plus 1 is 1, so that's 1 line, 2 line, 3 line, 4 line, 5 line. Okay, 1 line is going to be 1 line anteater, 2 line bobcat. I'm going to print it out. There it is. Okay, so works swimmingly. All right, so that works swimmingly. Now, this is using NIO.2. Okay, how do I know it's using NIO.2? Because it's using PATs and it's using a char set. All right, now, so this is the object we use to read from our file. Okay, so this is the object used to read from the file animals.txt. This is NIO.2 as we are using the files class and using PATs. Okay. Right, so this method takes, so the method is new buffered reader, which returns a buffered reader and takes a path and a char set. Okay. So this method is new buffered reader, which returns a buffered reader and takes a path and a char set. Okay. Now, so this is the method we use to read from a file. We want to take a method to write from a file. I want to say writer is equal to file dot. So by the way, we need to do this guy here. So files dot new buffered writer. Okay. So we go up here. This is write path, which is fine. And then we have char set, which is going to be char set dot default char set. Okay. Now we can, so if I just leave it like that, all right. So the default option is when we write to a file, it will overwrite everything already in the file. So if we use the following syntax, every time we write something to this file, it will first delete everything in the file you're writing to. Then write the new text to the file. Okay, here instead, we provide an optional argument, okay, which will append to the end of the file instead of overwriting. Right. So what we're going to do here is we are going to say this is, so that was a load of these fucking things, but STIND or D OPEN OPTION dot. So append. Now there's a load of them there. Or there. Right. Now that's the standard. If I just said write, it's just going to write. It's going to overwrite everything in it, I think. Truncate. I'm not sure that is. Okay. But what I want to do is I want to append. Okay. Now let me just see. That if I can use that guy. Just, you know, it won't make sense to do, but just see, can it take those arguments? I think it should be able to take those arguments. Let me just see. Okay, it doesn't take them. Okay. Oh, it's standard opened operation. All right, so that makes sense. All right. So standard open operation. This is going to append it to the end of this file. Okay. So I am going to go beneath the while loop. Right? I am going to go writer dot write. I'm going to put in a new line of text. Right? And then I'm going to put in writer dot new line. Now, if you remember using buffered readers and buffered writers before, what you actually had to do is when it got to -1, all right, it could write, oh, it does all sorts. We had to set the size of the buffer, all that sort of shit. You don't have to set the size of the buffer here at all. This does it all for you. All right. You don't have to have a close method. You don't have to have a flush method. All right. As long as you have a try with the sources, it makes writing to a file considerably easier. Writing to a file using NIO.2 is way easier than using IO. All right. So to prove that it does work, right, so I've run it. New line of text. So it's going to write to countries. What is it going to write to countries? New line of text. Okay, I run it again. And I need to refresh it. New line of text. Okay, so it'll keep adding in new lines of text at the end of it. All right. If I want to add, so while loop here. If I want to add each one of these lines of text to it, okay, I simply go writer.write current line. Now, so let's have a look at countries. There it is. That's all one word. That's all one line. So I can change that slightly. Writer.write current line. So writer.write writer.new line puts in a new line. So that should have a new line before it. So here we go again. There it is. Now I'm going to take out that guy. I'm going to take out that guy. I'm going to run it again. There it is. I'm going to run it again. Now I have to refresh it to see it. And there it is. Okay, keeps writing the same text over and over again. All right. Now that is considerably easier than any of the methods in IO. Right. As long as default char set, doesn't matter what you're putting in. All right. Now, now, as I say, when we come to the end of the course someday next week or the week after, we're going to be doing a day on each one of these things. So a day on chapter 1, a day on chapter 2, a day on chapter 3, a day on chapter, I'm after forgetting a lot of chapter 8 already. Fucking hell. All right. Now, we just got one more method in here to show you. So static void ex9. Okay. Now, let me just see. Oh yeah, sorry, this guy here, this puts in a new line of text. Sorry, this puts in a, so, right to that new line. This puts in a blank new line. So run it again. And there it is, with 2 spaces there. New line of text. So take out the new line there. Try that. Should only have 1 line. Okay. So keep appending to the end of the file, which really is what you want to do. Sorry, that's my alarm. I don't know why I set an alarm for that. Now, but I'm going to do one more, okay? And this will be this section finished. Now, this section took a lot longer than I thought. All right, so this one here is, now this is does exactly as it says in the tins. It's read all lines. Now, so we will take, I create another file, right? So I create another file here, right? Now I have animal countries names. So we are going to have new file. We're going to have jobs, it's capital J or bs.txt. Now, so we're going to have doctors, nurses. Okay, doctors work in hospital and in community. Okay, nurses also work in hospitals and in the community. Okay, and just say this is the second week of the great lockdown, of the great pandemic lockdown 2020. Okay, this is the second week of the great pandemic lockdown of 2020, which go down infamy. This is being typed from Flattery Mansion. Okay, oh I wish. Now, so this is our file called jobs.txt. So I'll just close down these other files. Don't need countries anymore. Animals, examples. Okay, so I am going to create a path. And I'm going to call this path is equal to paths.get And this is going to be jobs.txt. So it's capital JOBS.txt. Now, I am going to create a list of strings. And I'm going to call this lines. Import list equal to null. Okay, so I'm going to try. Now, so exception. Now, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go lines is equal to, now the method is files.read all. So we can see here files.read all returns a list of strings. And what is that list of strings? That list of strings is each line of text. Okay, so this is going to be path. So how many lines of text in this? There's 5 lines of text. Okay, so if I go, there are lines dot size. Lines of text. This is EX9. Examples of EX9. There are 5 lines of text, which is correct. Now we want to print off those lines of text. Just print them off. We got lines. Okay. Now, if I want to print those lines, if I want to copy those lines to another file, well, all I have to do is I'm going to use this exact same buffered writer as I have here. So I'm going to create a write path. Okay. So I'm going to write countries.txt. All right. And I'm going to put in the same sort of buffered writer in here. Why is that not giving me the same fucking thing there? Hold on a second now. Oh yeah, right. Now, here we are. Okay, this is the object. So we're going to write to the end of this file. All right. Now, how do I write each one of these lines to it? All we have to do is for string s lines. Okay. Then we go writer dot write dot write s. Okay, so let's have a look. See, so it should write all of this text. Before we go further, we go write dot writer dot new line. Okay, that. Right, now we have a look at countries again. There it is. Okay. Now, doesn't look very pretty. Let me just see, how can I put on separate lines? Oh yeah, it all puts it on one line. So after each line, I need to go. So writer.write s. And after that line, we need to go writer.newline. There we are. Run it again. There it is. Now that is a hell of a lot easier than using IO. It is much fucking easier. Now admittedly there's a lot of shite leading up to NIO.2, but when it comes down to it, the reading and writing, it is much easier. You just declare a writer and you then just write to it, and then you just read from it. All right. Now, so this is the file we will read all lines from. Okay. This is the list that will hold all the lines of text from jobs.txt. Okay, read all lines. Returns a list of strings, and each string in the list will be a line of text from our file. Okay. Right. So this is the object we will use to write to the end of countries.txt file. Okay, and it takes whatever the default char set is. Write path is this guy. Okay, default char set, the char set was on the default char set, it's on the machine. Standard open option, that means it's going to append it to the end of the files. So this is going to create a list of strings and assigns them to the lines list. Okay. We see there are 5 lines of text. So we will have 5 strings. Okay. So put a blank line at the start before we write. So we'll show you the blank line. Countries. There it is. Okay. That's the blank line. So yeah, we don't need a second one then though, do we? Let me just see if I take out that one. Oh no, that is. Okay, if I don't do that, we would have it all appearing on the one line. Okay, so there's a space each time. So if I take out, no space after the next one. Okay, so if I put that in, so this will insert a blank line before set of text. Again, so it's going to write, so this will write each line of text from jobs.txt to countries.txt. Now, yes, there's a lot of shit leading up to it. That's a hell of a lot easier. I'm talking to myself. Fortunately, that seems the best company this weather. It's myself. All right. Now that is way easier reading and writing. Now take a little bit of setting up. Not a lot. It's a buffer read writer. Okay. If you use something like read all lines, you don't have to have a buffered reader either. Right. So that's that section finished now. So that will be section, let's have a look, see. That will be section, so that will be section H, and that is section 9.2 finished. Now the next section we're going to be doing is 9.3, which is understanding file attributes. Let's see how big that file is. Okay, that file is a lot less. I should get that section on tomorrow. All right, so that's fine. So folks, G and H will be up by tonight. So you're probably looking at this Tuesday. So I will be talking to you again tomorrow. Okay, a little bit.